Hi, I'm Dr. Krishan Ramna, the founder and director of Thrive Chiropractic. So in our wellness practice, I've been in the wellness industry for about 14 years now. Over the last 8 years, we've been focusing on working in a very different way. We've seen about 50,000 patient visits. And I want to share with you some of the things we've learned, particularly today about our posture, what our posture means and how it reflects on how we think and feel and how other people perceive us. So this one's going to be quite good fun. So I'm really grateful that you're here, and if you're here, this means you've watched our other video, hopefully, so that's super cool. So my own experience is that when I see people's posture, and the reason that I teach about posture to lots of different businesses is because we all judge each other, whether we like it or not, on our posture. Whenever I say the word posture to audiences, I see people sit up and try and stay up because subconsciously we all know that having good posture is important. And our posture reflects, am I reliable? Am I trustworthy? Am I going to follow through? Am I stressed? Am I upset? Am I worried? So what we want to share with you, and what we'll do at the end of the video is, well, what are some things I can do to improve my posture without tons of exercises, in a way that really gets my brain and my nervous system to kind of fire more coherently, more together. So my personal experience is that I've been overweight and underconfident and had herniations in my spine and been dyslexic and had a ton of challenges, and as a result my posture crumbled. When I was going through all those things, I wasn't super upright, and as I learned some of the wellness things I'm going to be sharing with you today, I realised how much about how our posture affects how we think and feel. And I would in fact go as far as to say our posture really shows us how our inner world meets the outer world. So I'm going to share with you the 5 main postural distortions that every human being can experience, and see if you can recognise these for yourself or maybe some of your friends and loved ones. And we'll do it in a light-hearted manner. So the first is that the upper neck can tip. So I'm not doing this in any particular order, just from the top down. And this person will feel worried. And might even look a bit like a rabbit in headlights. And this person might also feel like there's never enough time. They might always be in a rush. They might feel like they always have to come early, or they're always late for something. And the general feeling is there's not enough time to get done what I need to get done. So this person does not have that feeling of trusting everything's going to be all right, everything's going to work out, and as a result they can feel a bit anxious or a bit worried. Moving down the spine, we have the low neck. When the low neck comes forward, like this, if I turn side on so you can see me this way, and you might recognise that from like an action movie, it's not I'm going to get you kind of posture, that person will feel angry. That person will feel annoyed and irritated, maybe even as far as betrayed, like someone's let me down, they're going to let me down again, and I'm going to kind of keep on guard. And we know people like this, right, who it almost doesn't matter what happens or what they experience, but they always find an excuse, it would seem, to feel angry or to feel annoyed. It's just because the low neck in that posture, any human being who does this long enough will feel that way. Next is the mid neck, and it can kind of cock to one side. Now this might be a bit like a newsreader who's like, hi, I'm going to talk to you today about this terrible tragedy with zero emotion. So when we cock the neck in the middle, it can kind of, a bit like Dr. Spock, like cut us off from our sense of emotion or sense of feeling. It can also make up, and we know people like this who might talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but never really make a point. And then even when they've made a point, they kind of keep talking, keep going on further and further and further. The next is with the pelvis, and someone might literally put their hands on their pelvis, trying to make their pelvis larger. So I'm doing this just a little higher so you can see on the camera here, but it's like pelvis, like I'm clearly the one in charge, I'm important. Because our pelvis is largely about how we feel about ourselves, how we make decisions. So think of the opposite. When someone's unsure or doesn't know what decision to make, they'll often hop from leg to leg, unsure. And it can also be used like pop stars, like pop it out to one side, like to kind of appear sassy. I'm sexy, I'm cool, look at me. So our pelvis deals with our sense of identity, decisions we make, the rules, the ideas we have, all those kinds of things. Then we have a combination, so the neck can go one way and the pelvis can go another. Obviously I'm exaggerating for clarity. And this is commonly experienced. Like teenagers can feel this like, God, like it has to be this way, can't be the way I want, right? Which really tells someone when their posture's doing this, and it might be as subtle as that, or just one shoulder hikes and twists a bit. That person feels like, it can't be the way I want, there's a sense of resignation. The beauty is when it opens up, they feel like they can get life more on their terms. And then finally, the low neck can come forward, as can the tailbone, so it's going to kind of crumple from both ends. And this person will feel a bit depressed, or a bit like there's not enough energy, or just like there's more being asked of me than I can handle. Like I don't have the resources to handle what's being asked of me. So those are the kind of 5 main postural deviations, and every human being moves in and out of those postures at some point in their life. And sometimes what we've observed is people can kind of have a habit of 1 or 2, and they kind of only go between a couple of them, meaning someone might experience anxiety or worry more than they want, or anger more than they want, or no feeling more than they want, etc, etc, etc. So as their posture changes, it gives them an opportunity to feel differently, to experience life differently, and to show up in a new way. And this is something you can try at home. And this will seem absurd as I say it, but it's like if you bend forward like this in your chair, you can try it right now while you're watching this. If you bend forward and hold that for just a moment, but try and get ecstatically happy in that posture. Yeah? It's almost impossible. And then if you flip up, so look back at the screen, if you now arch your chest, arch your head back, hold your arms out, and try and get sad or depressed. Again, almost impossible because the postures don't fit. I don't see anyone come into our practice and go, I've had a terrible day, my boss has been really annoying, or they just don't say those things, because our posture reflects how we feel inside, it reflects how we're handling life, it reflects how we're coping. And that's why we all instinctively know in interviews how important body language is, when we're out meeting each other in social settings. So women know, if a man approaches them and says, hi, I want to know the time, you know very quickly if he has another agenda. Similarly for men, if a man approaches us, we know, hey, he wants to have a fight or he's being kind, because our nervous systems have this thing called a mirror neuron, which means it's reading the other people all the time. And what you're reading is the posture, because inside the posture is really their nervous system. The posture just shows how the nervous system is working. So a few myths about posture. The first is that when you want to improve your posture, you have to find the bit that's not working and concentrate there. I absolutely don't do that in practice. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. I find it works much more effectively to find what's working in the body and to start there. It would be a bit like if I were to come to your house and wipe the surfaces. It's not very clean in here. Instantly your heckles are up and you'd be defensive and maybe even angry with me, like, how dare I come into your house and treat you that way? Flip it around. If I were to come into your house and, wow, your house is beautiful, it's a lovely picture. Like, whose idea was to put that cushion there? Your nervous system, you would open up, oh, well, thank you. And then you might even be more willing of your own accord to think about how you could improve things. And my experience, as I said, with 50,000 patient visits now, is that if you look at the nervous system and if you teach people, how do I find what's working with myself? How do I find where I'm resourceful? I notice the nervous system and posture will spontaneously improve. So that's the first thing, is you don't have to find what's wrong with it and concentrate all your effort on, let me just fix that bit of me and then I'll somehow improve. The second myth is, I feel fine, like there's nothing wrong with me. And I think that's a myth because sadly we've all heard the story about someone who looked fine, they felt fine, they seemed well, who suddenly had a horrible diagnosis or had a sudden heart attack or some health tragedy befell them. And that's because how we feel when we get stressed and our nerves get tight and our posture changes gets down-regulated a bit, because we start to focus more on the stresses outside us than on the internal cues. So this idea of I feel fine, therefore I'm okay, I don't find as a reliable indicator of how healthy and well someone is. Another is, I don't feel bad, therefore I shouldn't really do anything. And I find that you don't have to feel bad to feel improved or better or more well. So personally, for myself, for my wife, for my 3 children, I don't wait for them to feel bad to find a way to improve their health and well-being. Not obsessively, not constantly monitoring them, but just, hey, if something can improve my health and well-being, I'll invest my time and energy. I think that is a useful use of time. I think that in our culture, with the demands we have in ourselves, looking after ourselves more is a great idea. In practice, I'm seeing more anxious and I'm seeing teenagers come in, not just with their posture like this, who are more anxious and depressed. And I think there's something going on there. So I think, finding ways to look after ourselves before we're symptomatic, personally, I think is a great idea. So my challenge for you, and this is really quite straightforward, and there's some wonderful research by a lady called Amy Cuddy who found that if you hold a powerful or confident posture. Now I'm just going to exaggerate just for ease on the camera. And you hold that for 2 minutes, and you can do it in front of a mirror, you can just do it wherever. Your levels of stress drop and your levels of confidence will increase. 2 minutes, because you're training your nervous system, hey, I can access this place. And your nervous system goes, okay, so if I'm accessing this place, I must think and feel how this posture is. It's the same way if you let your posture crumble, even if you don't feel bad, within a minute or two you'll feel worse. So my challenge for you is just for 1 or 2 minutes a day, just somewhere private where you feel safe, adopt this posture and just see the impact it has for you. Just hold your body in the posture you would like to present to the world and just practice it for 2 minutes and just see how that goes, see how you feel. Feel free to comment back to us, let us know the impact it has. Finally, thank you so much for watching this video. I would love it if you'd share it with people you think would benefit and learn from it. And again, if you have any questions or any concerns or anything that we've mentioned that you'd like to know more about, we would always love to hear from you. Until then, I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye for now.